Great stuff, guys. To the NFL, it was a blockbuster trade yesterday as we saw the New York Giants trade Pro Bowl defensive tackle Dexter Lawrence to the Cincinnati Bengals for the number 10 pick in this week's draft. The Giants now own the rights to the number 5 and number 10 picks in the first round. The trade comes after the Giants and Lawrence reached an impasse in negotiations on a new deal. So here's what the NFL Draft Top 10 looks like now. The Giants hold 2 top 10 picks for just the second time in the common draft era, and the recent history is worth noting. The last 2 times the team pulled that off, it gave us Caleb Williams and Rome Odunze for the 2024 Bears and C.J. Stroud and Will Anderson Jr. for the 2023 Texans. All right, you hear those chimes, so now we bring in senior NFL writer Jeremy Fowler. Jeremy, what are you hearing about what the Giants are going to do with those top 2 picks in the first round?
Yeah, Scooby, the Giants now have a ton of options at their disposal. They are in a position to control the top half of this draft. So there is love there in the building for running back Jeremiah Love. But the problem is they have a lot of needs, some premium positions that they need to try to go fill. I talked to a few teams last night coming off of this trade, what they think the Giants might do. They said, hey, they may go safe for that first pick. Maybe Miami offensive tackle Francis Maui-Noga or Sonny Styles, the star linebacker out of Ohio State. Also, they have some receiver options here. Some of the top guys, they can now get one at 5 or 10 if they want. You got Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. Maybe they go there at 5. 10, they did some work on Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. They were at his workout a couple days ago in Arizona. So they are in a position to really mix it up here. Joe Shane, the GM, is not afraid to make a trade, too. So he's got those 2 picks. You can try to get a team to move up if you can maneuver a little bit, maybe even get more draft capital.
Oh, that's incredible. 5 and 10, man. Giants fans are feeling good right now. So let's stay in the NFC East. The Cowboys, they currently hold 2 first-round picks as well, 12 and 20. What more can you tell us about their approach heading into the NFL draft?
Yeah, so I talked to somebody with the team. They said they're not necessarily tied to have to make a trade despite all the speculation around Dallas at 12 and 20 trying to move up to get a star player. Now, they do like some of these guys at the top, like Sonny Styles that we mentioned, a few others that they was dealing with the short arm length and the careless driving charge he had a few years ago. So they're going to be in the mix on all these defensive guys. Heavy defense with those first 2 picks, however they package it. They're not necessarily afraid to have to give up the 20th pick to move up if they do, but they have not been working the phones a lot this week. I'm told they're taking a patient approach, but they are the team that many are watching because of the obvious need on defense and those armed 2 first-round picks early on. So they're going to maneuver at some point. They're going to fill some major needs come Thursday night.
This is so fun. I can't wait till the NFL draft. Jeremy Fowler with the latest. Thank you.
Thank you.
The pinnacle of the NFL that day in Tampa. They're at the epicenter of the NFL Thursday to Saturday with the draft. And our draft analyst, Jordan Reed, joins us now. Some edits to his upcoming 7-round mock. Jordan, that pre-draft blockbuster yesterday, Dexter Lawrence going to Cincy. Giants now have 5 and 10 overall. A lot of different mocks considering what they might do at 5. Give us a first look. What should they do at 10?
Yeah, Phil, after that big blockbuster trade that included Dexter Lawrence going to the Bengals, what did the Giants do at 10? But there's 4 players that I think they could target with that second first-round pick in the top 10. And the first one is Arizona State wide receiver Jordan Tyson, and with neighbors for the young quarterback in Jackson Dart. So Jordan Tyson, look for him to go with that number 10 overall pick if they want to add some offensive firepower. Next, we have Caleb Downs, the safety out of Ohio State. If they want to go with a defender, who I believe is the top defender in this year's draft class, going with Downs at number 10 overall is another player that makes a ton of sense. Has a very clean evaluation. He's a player that was an All-American at 2 Alabama and Ohio State. One of my favorites. He reminds me a lot of Budda Baker out in Arizona, who's gone on to be a 4-time All-Pro. And I believe Downs would be next on that list. They have a huge hole at right guard, and yes, I know they signed Daniel Faalele, but he should not keep them from adding another offensive lineman, specifically at that guard spot. Now with Fano, he played his career at right tackle primarily for the Utes, but I believe he may have to transition inside. Now, there's a lot of scouts that believe he could play all 5 positions up front, so he could play anything from center, guard, or tackle, but he's past season, no touchdowns. He is a true shutdown corner, and if the Giants do with that second first-round pick, I think the lane makes a lot of sense.
All right, so you've got receiver, safety, offensive lineman, and corner, so an opportunity to zig and zag at 5 and 10. Jordan, another team with 2 picks in the first round, the Cowboys, 12 and 20 overall. Who do you see the Cowboys targeting there?
Another team, as you mentioned, that has 2 first-round picks, and at that number 12 pick, I think they need to get somebody that can come in and contribute right away. And what better person than Ruben Bain, the defensive end out of Miami, who was my top-ranked edge rusher in this year's draft class. I have Arvo Reese as an off-ball linebacker. So with him, he gives you edge, but also the versatility to really play any position up front for Christian Parker's defense. I think Ruben Bain will be a home run selection for them as far as somebody that can come in and play right away with that first-round pick that they have in this year's draft. And then another player that I think fans need to familiarize themselves with that could be in contention for the second first-round pick for the Cowboys at number 20 overall is Combine. He was terrific down in Mobile, Alabama at the Senior Bowl as well. So Chris Johnson, he has a chance to be the second cornerback off of the board. Yes, ahead of Jermon McCoy and behind Mansour Delane. That would not be surprising at all to me.
6 teams have multiple firsts, and just the Giants and Jets alone count for a quarter of the top 16. Jordan has a full 7-round, 257-pick mock coming out Monday morning on ESPN.com. Jordan, thank you.
Less than 9.
Welcome into a fresh new hour of CBS Sports HQ on this Sunday morning. I'm Jordan Giorgio. We begin with the big news out of the NFL last night. The Giants are trading Dexter Lawrence to the Bengals for the 10th overall pick. The move comes after Lawrence requested a trade earlier this month. Lawrence is a 2-time second-team All-Pro and a 3-time Pro Bowler. He only recorded half a sack last season, the lowest total of his career. So the Giants are just stacking up all of the picks for this upcoming draft. That's now just 4 days away. So what should they do with all of these picks as you take a look at the Giants' full draft board? Let's go ahead and find out as we say hello to our own Mike Renner. Mike, it's great to see you. You're going to help us curate the perfect New York Giants draft board. The pressure is on. So let's go ahead and begin with what would be the perfect selections for these 2 first-round picks.
I think at number 5 overall, I've been giving them Sonny Styles, the Ohio State linebacker, for a while for 2 big reasons. One is John Harbaugh, I think, is going to have more control over this board. It's going to be made in his image, this team. And if you just go back through his history, he has coveted the linebacker position very highly over the course of his career, whether it was drafting C.J. Mosley in the first round with the Baltimore Ravens, trading a lot of draft capital for Roquan Smith. It's a position where he wants a dude at, and Sonny Styles is nothing short of a dude. He is 6'4", 245, one of the freakiest athletes you'll ever see at the position, and only been playing the position for 2 seasons. You see there, his first 2 seasons were at safety, and his tape is already this good. This guy truly has special all-pro type of potential. And if you put him next to Tremaine Edmonds, 2 guys who have some of the longest wingspans you'll ever see at the linebacker position, you'll shut down a lot of windows over the middle of the football field. So I think that's 5. But now the number 10 pick is where it gets interesting, because I think they want a weapon for Jackson Dart. I think that's why they were willing to trade away Dexter Lawrence. Their run defense last year was bad with Dexter Lawrence. It was one of the worst in the NFL. So they're going to probably try to cobble that together through a linebacker and then maybe getting DTs later in this draft and giving a weapon like Jordan Tyson, who's a true number 1 type of weapon. I mean, they already have one in Malik Neighbors, but this is very much a speed receiving core right now. It's a bunch of 4-3 guys who can't really run the underneath and intermediate routes at a super high level. Now, Malik Neighbors can, but he just doesn't really have that type of body type. Jordan Tyson does. He's 6'2". He's over 200 pounds. He had 26 bench press reps at the combine. So he can run those slants, those chain moving routes that the other guys might struggle at.
Now, Jordan Tyson, though, is a player that has been injury riddled in his college history. Are you worried? Are you concerned in the slightest bit? I mean, take a look at all of the injuries that he's dealt with.
Well, I'm very concerned, right? Anytime a guy has not made it through 1 single season healthy, that's concerning at the collegiate level. So all 4 years he missed time, and that hamstring injury this past year, not only did it cost him time during the season, it cost him his pro day. It was still hampering him to where he only just worked out this past week. And now Joe Schoen was there, the GM for the New York Giants. He was one of 2 GMs at that pro day, so obviously in play there for the number 10 overall pick. He must have liked what he saw, because he pulled the trigger on the trade after that pro day.
All right, we'll leave it there. They fulfill some big needs day 1. Let's get to the second round. You kind of teased it, them addressing a big void at DT later in the draft. You have them selecting defensive tackle Lee Hunter. So for those who are unfamiliar with his game, he made a few stops along the way in his collegiate career. Break his game down for us.
to me, he's the best playmaking nose tackle in this draft class. If you're going to try to replace Dexter Lawrence's skill set, this is the closest thing. Now, there is no replacing it, right? He is a one-of-one type of dude. That's why the Bengals were willing to trade the 10th overall pick for him, even though he's later in his career. But Lee Hunter at 6'4", 320, he plays on the opposite side of the line of scrimmage more than any other defensive tackle in this class. He did it when he was at UCF, and he did it at Texas Tech. All you have to do is watch the Oregon game in the playoffs where he was a man possessed. I think he had a half dozen run stops in that game, numerous tackles for loss. That ability will be able to replace some of what they're losing in Dexter Lawrence, but I think it's going to come from numerous bodies. You don't replace Dexter Lawrence with one guy. It has to be multiple guys here.
All right, so no pick for the Giants in this third round. So let's get to the fourth. Still a few needs for them to fulfill. What should they check off the list here?
I have them going interior offensive line here because to me, it's one of the deepest positions in the draft class. And I like attacking deep positions in the mid rounds because that's when you just get value where you wouldn't otherwise get it, because not every team is going to want to draft a guard. You know, some will, but like when a position is that deep, it just means that players who usually go higher start to get pushed down the board. And Stroud's one of them because he was very good this past season for Notre Dame, very consistent over the course of his career. But he's another guy who comes with injury concerns. If he was fully healthy this past season, he does not make it to pick 105 here. You see the overall rank based off his tape. It's number 85 here for us draft analysts at CBS. But I think the injuries could push him down. And I think the Giants just need to add more help to that interior. They might be starting Daniel Faalele or Evan Neal at right guard. Ask Ravens fans. I don't know if that's what you want to be doing in 2026.
Back to the defensive side of the ball. As you said, you have them addressing defensive tackle in the second round, selecting Lee Hunter out of Texas Tech. But taking a peek here in the fifth round, it's another defensive tackle.
Yeah, I have them going Dante Corleone, the godfather from University of Cincinnati, who is one of the best pluggers in this draft class. You know, Lee Hunter's kind of a playmaker. Dante Corleone, you see right there, 6'1", 340. He's a fire hydrant. You ain't going to move this guy. He is very good against the run, has been over the course of his career. Honestly, the biggest thing with him has just been the weight. When he gets a little too heavy, he gets a little too slow, and you see his play suffer. He's dealt with blood clot issues over the course of his career, which hasn't helped with him staying in shape either. Those are fully in the past. He looks lean at his pro day. I think if you get this guy again, fifth round here, who at one point looked like a day two type of talent early on in his career at Cincinnati, if you can get him there, it's just another guy to add to that room. So now he doesn't have to play as many snaps as he did at Cincinnati, and Lee Hunter doesn't have to play as many snaps as he did at Texas Tech, so they're both fresh.
All right, so they add some depth at that position. Lastly, here in the sixth round, the Giants have 3 selections. How should they take advantage of this?
Yeah, I think at this point in time, you're trying to just build depth or build skill sets that maybe you don't have on this roster. I think, again, interior offensive line in this class is very deep. I would attack there. I would also add a running back to this room. And specifically, I have them going Damon Claiborne, the Wake Forest running back, because he adds juice. You look at Cam Scadaboo, Devin Singletary. I know Tyrone Tracy has some explosiveness, but he really hasn't shown too much of it at the NFL level. Damon Claiborne is a 4-3 guy. I mean, a true home run hitter, kind of like John Harbaugh's version of Keaton Mitchell that he drafted when he was with the Baltimore Ravens. That kind of just change of pace back that adds a little, big play threat to your offense. It would not surprise me if they try to covet one of those types of backs on day 3, just given Harbaugh's career. And then I have him in the interior offensive line class going Carver Willis, a versatile guy, a 5-position sort of offensive lineman that can play anywhere. Those are always guys you want to add in the day 3 of the draft, are those versatile guys, given how big injuries are. And then last, but certainly not least, is Andre Fuller, the Toledo corner/safety, another guy who versatility is his calling card. He's played both over the course of his career at Toledo. The Giants could use depth at both, so getting a guy who bridges that gap would be a nice addition. All
right, so that is it in a perfect world for the New York Giants, according to Mike Renner. Always great to see you, my friend, as you take a look at a recap of Mike's perfect Giants mock as they now hold 2 picks in that first round thanks to the trade from Dexter Lawrence. He has them getting a nice weapon, and Jordan Tyson with that 10th pick. Curious if, the injuries continue to bug him, but adding some depth and filling that void that Dexter Lawrence left at defensive tackle later on in the NFL draft. Back in a moment here on HQ. When we return, the countdown is on. 4 days away from the NFL draft in Pittsburgh, and Brian McFadden joins us on the other side with highlights from his latest mock. That's next. To count down the days until the 2026 NFL draft from Pittsburgh. 4 days to be exact until the first round gets underway. And we've been going through our analysts' mock drafts in the weeks leading up to the draft. And here's a look at our own Bryant McFadden's latest mock. So this one at the top, first round, first pick overall, Fernando Mendoza, pretty consistent across the board, but maybe some prizes elsewhere. So to break down some of the highlights from his mock, let's go ahead and bring B-Mac into the show. B-Mac, always great to see you. Thanks for joining us this morning. Let's begin, though, with the Giants, who, of course, now have 2 picks in this first round, thanks to the trade last night from Dexter Lawrence. What do you think they should do with these 2 picks?
Well, there you have it in my mock draft in terms of the top 10 with the Giants with their first round selection at 5. I have them attacking the offensive line woes or concerns for their unit and taking Francis Mauigoa from Miami. I think he's one of the more talented offensive linemen in the draft, and he's already made it known he can care less where he plays. He just wants to take one of those 5 positions on the offensive line. And I see ideally in a perfect world when they draft CC, moving him potentially at that right guard position. You have Jermaine at right tackle. You have Andrew at left tackle. Now, instantly you improve your offensive line to be able to protect second-year quarterback Jackson Dart in a more consistent way. And then, of course, with the most recent news with the Giants also getting the top 10, another top 10 pick at 10 with the Dexter Lawrence trade, as you mentioned, I have them addressing another offensive position at the wide receiver spot in Jordan Tyson. So if you look at the Giants potentially with these 2 top selections, they're day 1 starters in my opinion. You don't miss with either guy. Jordan Tyson, many would say if he was healthy the entire season in 2025, he probably would be the best wide receiver available. But because of the injury concerns, and now we're hearing that he is slated to be healthy, I think he's a can't-miss prospect as well for the Giants.
Good to know you're on the same page as our own Mike Renner, who we just had. He also had Jordan Tyson going to the Giants with that 10th pick. So let's go ahead and look elsewhere to Dallas. You actually have them trading up to select Sonny Styles, a guy you actually believe may be the most athletic guy in the entire draft. Tell us why.
Oh, no question. Anytime you're 6'3", 6'4", you're running around 4.3s, low 4.4s, you're 240-ish, almost 250-ish, you're jumping almost like, 40+, athleticism is there. And everything he did there in Indy, we saw in game action. So the combine results matched the hot take that he put forth throughout his collegiate career for Ohio State. And for Dallas, this is a major void for them when you talk about the off-ball linebacker position. I understand once upon a time they had Micah Parsons. They moved on from him. And I'm not saying Sonny can potentially give you the same Michael Parsons type of impact, but in terms of providing a stability and consistency, I think he can, and he can be able to give you some rush elements when you look at the athleticism and the speed that he has. So for me, when you talk about Dallas needing to improve their defense dramatically, right? You cannot wait for a guy if he's still available. So I have the Dallas Cowboys moving up from 12 to 8, doing some nice business with the New Orleans Saints to be able to draft one of the more athletic players in the draft in Sonny Styles at 8.
All right, let's go ahead and skip to 14. The Ravens are on the clock here, and you have them taking tight end Kenyon Sadiq. Tell us why you're so high on him, because I was looking back, and our own Ryan Wilson doesn't even have a first-round grade on him.
Yeah, I understand. And the thing about Kenyon Sadiq, it's the ceiling, it's the potential.
Okay.
Right? And I have my reservations with Kenyon as well, because what he did in Indy didn't always show up in game action. Talking about running that sub 4.4, the measurables is there. He's very, very explosive, but he didn't always display that 4.4 like speed on Saturdays. But the thing I love about this relationship with Kenyon and the Baltimore Ravens, he is a Raven. He fits what they love, especially at the tight end position. Moving on from Isaiah Likely, Baltimore loves unicorns at the tight end position. He is a matchup nightmare, and we know Lamar loves throwing to tight ends, especially in the seam. So you now have Mark Andrews, right, who's towards the, I don't want to say the end of his career, but clearly he's closer to the end than the beginning. and bring in Kenyon Sadiq, a guy who can really cause some issues, especially if he's coached the right way within that offense. I mean, I think this would be a great relationship in terms of collegiate prospect pairing up with the NFL organization, the Baltimore Ravens. And like I said, name me another quarterback who doesn't love throwing to his tight ends more than Lamar Jackson. I think this would be a nice pairing for the two.
BMAC, the draft gets underway from Pittsburgh, and your Steelers will be on the clock at 21. So who's going to be the newest player to wear that black and gold behind you?
Oh, my goodness. When you talk about the excitement that is lingering around Allegheny County right there in Pittsburgh, they're fired up. So for me, when I look at the mock for the Pittsburgh Steelers and seeing some of the players that were chosen before Pittsburgh made their selection at 21, you got to go get a dynamic playmaker. You got to go get a guy that can instantly fit into a huddle and find his niche within the offense. So I have the Pittsburgh Steelers at 21, taking KC Concepcion. The thing I love about KC, he is a four-down player. Right? He is a four-down player. And you might ask, B-Mac, what do you mean when you say a four-down player? Well, offensively, we know he can impact impact an offense on first, second, and third down. But also, when it comes to fourth down, being a returner, a punt returner, he has another opportunity to get the football in his hands to make an impact. There lies the four-down impact player that he is. So for Pittsburgh, you address some of the wide receiver concerns, bringing in Michael Pittman. Now you have two experienced wide receivers in DK and Michael Pittman. But now you bring in a more versatile player, a guy that can be that joystick, that can kind of work in between the numbers, work in between the seams, and create separation, not only in his route running ability, but when he gets the football into his hands, and he can be a dynamic returner for you. I love the pairing for whoever the quarterback will be for the Pittsburgh Steelers if you're able to land a great playmaker, offensive playmaker in KC Concepcion.
All right, let's end with the Cardinals here, where it's no secret they need some quarterback help, and that's exactly what you have them addressing with their pick. But tell us why Ty Simpson is such a great fit here.
Well, for the Arizona Cardinals, clearly there's a big need for them to improve the quarterback position, especially moving forward. And when you look at the quarterback prospects, in terms of quantity, there's not a lot, right? We know Fernando will be a guarantee for sure first-round selection. Outside of Fernando, the next best name is Ty Simpson. So for the Arizona Cardinals, I have them doing some really good business with the New England Patriots at 31. Arizona trades back into the first round with the New England Patriots to select their quarterback potential of the future in Ty Simpson. This is a die need. And the issue for the Arizona Cardinals and some of the other teams that need quarterbacks, there's not a lot of names that could go in the first round. Think about this. This is a rare draft where right now, as we see before Thursday, there's only one legit name that will go in the first round at the quarterback position, and that's Fernando Mendoza. With Ty Simpson, there's a bunch of question marks looming because it's not a quarterback-heavy draft like we've seen in years past where you have 3 or 4 guys we know for sure could be first-round selections. So for the Arizona Cardinals, you cannot afford to wait because we know also who else needs a quarterback? It's the New York Jets. So once the second round starts, the Jets will be picking before the Arizona Cardinals. So it's your job to find a way to maneuver to get in front of the Jets, who we all know need to answer the quarterback question as well moving forward. And this is the best way for Arizona to do so, in my opinion. Do some business with a team that doesn't really need their first-round selection in the New England Patriots, and they can add some resources in the latter part of the draft, move out of the first round, you move in, and there, voila, magic. Ty Simpson will be an Arizona Cardinal.
Voila, I love it. B-Mac, before we let you go, we are learning that Dexter Lawrence, the former Giant, has officially passed his physical, so this trade is a done deal. And we are also hearing that it is a 1-year, $28 million extension as he heads to the Bengals. Just quickly, what do you think he's going to bring to Cincinnati? How does this play out?
Stability in the interior of the defensive line. And I understand when you talk about his year last year with the New York Giants, and the fans were saying, well, he had a down year. He isn't who he once was. He might not have shown up big time in the stat sheet, but his impact was always felt when you watched him play. He commanded double teams, play in and play out. And because of the extra attention that he received, a guy like Brian Burns was able to eat with one-on-one opportunities, right? So when you remove that type of player from the New York Giants, it's a big void. got to shoot. You got to shoot your shot. The last few years, they haven't been shooting their shot. So guess what? They haven't been making any buckets. But seeing how bad they've been in years past and just a one-dimensional team offensively, you have to shoot your shot. They shot their shot. It's a big-time three. And, man, if they cash in, instantly their defense is better because you have to respect Dexter Lawrence. And now other guys will have the same luxury on the defensive line that Brian Burns had last year playing alongside Dexter with one-on-one opportunities. Mafe, you look at Miles Murphy, Jonathan Allen, who they brought in, Shamor Stewart. All these guys will benefit from Big 9-7 because of the attention that he commands. And hopefully he can make the entire defense, second-level guys, third-level guys, much better as well. In my opinion, I think he has the skill set to do so.
Voila, there you go, Cincy. Everyone benefits, according to our own Bryant McFadden. Always great to see you, my friend, here live on CBS Sports HQ. We're talking a lot about the NFL draft. You can get more draft talk with the